Right, hi everyone, and welcome to the second exciting edition of TalkShop TV, where we communicate to you, our colleagues, and obviously now we're in the second issue. We've got lots of great feedback from the first, and lots of questions and a few topics that you want covering. So welcome from me, and welcome from Vitto. And let's get stuck in terms of some of the key messages we want communicating. Just like last time, huge message of thanks from myself, Vitto, and the wider Transdev family for all that everybody is doing out there. I think, as we have articulated and mentioned a lot this week, this is about everybody in the team, from those on the front line, our drivers, our duty managers, to those behind the scenes, our engineers, our cleaners, our schedulers, those getting the information to our customers, and those who are working from home to carry on supporting the business. It's all coming together to keep the company going, to keep key workers moving, and to put on a show I think only us at Transdev Blazefield can do, and we only do that thanks to our people, so thank you for that. Some of the key things we want to cover today is we want to talk about the things we're doing to look after you, the things we want to do, the things that we are doing to look after our customers. Vitto's going to spend a bit of time talking about the subject of furlough and what that means and how we're going about selecting it and so on. I want to cover a bit of stuff about the government grant and what that means to the business, this latest coronavirus support grant that has been given to the bus industry from government. Life after COVID-19, because we're beginning to look at that now. We think that's important, and something special we're doing as well in celebration of the great work that you're all doing and those in the communities are doing. So they're the things we want to talk about. Okay, so first things first, looking after you, what we're doing and the measures, the increased measures we're taking to make sure you feel safer at work, and particularly those on the front line. And there's a lot of work been going on this behind the scenes, and a lot of it this week has come to fruition.
Yeah, thank you. So we spoke about last week that we was installing screens into our vehicles. We've progressed with that now, so we've had our first successful trial on a Volvo B7 at Harrogate. We had the cab patterned and a screen made. We've commissioned that, so right now there's 70 screens being built, so they'll fit most of our saloons, so B7s, E200s, our B10s. We've also this morning patterned a custom screen for our B5, so Coastline and the 36 in Harrogate will have their own screen, and we're also making up some for our Versas in Lancashire and Keighley. We're expecting those next week. The factory were on lockdown, but they've come back in to make them for us because they see us as key workers, so they're progressing, which we're really happy with, and they're on full steam ahead making those. This week we've had plenty of PPE come in. We've got over 5,000 pairs of gloves. They should be at each location for you to grab a set in the morning or at lunch or whenever, put some in your bag. There's plenty of those. We've got more in stores, so please take them. We've got visors. They've been distributed this week, so personal visor. So if you're cleaning a bus, driving a bus, if you're working in a customer facing role, feel free to grab one of those from the duty manager's office. They're out. I've seen loads of good feedback, and I think once people get used to wearing them, they say they're good, they're comfortable. I will say is take both sides of the protective screen off them, because I saw one person still with some of the
It's a bit smoky.
We've reinforced the social distancing messages, so all the vehicles now should be fitted with the lines across the floor. We've put posters in the vehicles in the frames. We're going to change that a little bit in Lancashire for some of the vehicles that haven't got next stop announcements. So we're going to put another message up saying, please, mind our social distance, stay behind the line when you're waiting to get off. And we're also rolling out cleaning kits for the vehicles. So we've trialled it at Rochdale this week. All the buses there that are going out have got a personal cleaning kit for the drivers to use, and after feedback from the ground, we're going to roll that out to other locations. So I think, you know, the general message, we've got plenty, lots of sanitizer, lots of gloves, visors, the screens are coming. I think we're in a good position now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with all of these things, they're there for you to use. We're not saying they're mandatory. I know some people are saying they feel a bit silly wearing the visors, but they're all there because some people want to and some people feel more comfortable wearing them. So we're giving the option to everybody to decide. The other thing as well that is critical in the customer facing role that so many of you are is indeed how we're looking after customers, and that's making sure they're safe on board as well. So as well as the banners that are there to block seats off behind the driver's cab area, as Vitto mentioned, we're putting some clear tape down on the floor, so we encourage customers to stand behind that to protect them and you when you're driving. We're also keeping a very close eye on loadings and numbers of people using buses at certain times. This has resulted in duplicate journeys being put on, where we've seen loads of over 50% on certain journeys. We're not afraid to add extra buses on if it means everyone is safer on board and it encourages people to space themselves out on board. We've done that in Blackburn, Burnley. We're adding some journeys at Rosso to Fairfield Hospital. We would very much welcome your feedback on that, and indeed, as well as that, we have been retiming journeys for connections and to meet key workers' shift start and finish times as well. There's been plenty of evidence that happening, and we're encouraging customers to approach us directly on that, and your feedback as well is welcome too. Also, there's a lot less people using our buses. That means that some people have bought season tickets that they no longer wish to use. We're encouraging people to approach us on that, and we will ideally try and add credit on to be used later, but we're dealing with every situation on a case-by-case basis to make sure it suits the individual customer. So we have people still operating our customer services functions by phone, via the contact positions on our website, and of course on Facebook and Twitter and our social media outlets too. So if you get any customers who are used to topping up their ticket, who are wishing to hold their tickets or wishing to top up tickets and they can't in our shops at the moment, please encourage them to go via any of those routes. I think that covers the things that we're doing to look after you and look after our customers. I'm sure there's plenty more happening that we haven't even covered, but bear in mind that there are two main priorities throughout this episode. Furlough is a subject that a number of you wanted some clarification on. Obviously, we're doing this so we can stay in touch with our colleagues who are sitting at home, who have took the option to furlough. But there's a bit more guidance that I think people want to understand, because it is a complicated subject, and Vitto can explain a bit more about that for us.
Yeah, I think that's
good luck.
Yeah. I think it's the biggest question we're getting through the WhatsApp groups at the moment, and certainly on our weekly calls with the trade union, we're getting plenty of questions, and it's something we've all had to learn pretty quickly. So, you know, furlough is a word that we don't really use in the UK. It's an American term, and it basically relates to laying off, and it relates to laying off when there's not enough work available for the employee. At the moment, with the coronavirus pandemic, there's the government has set up the job retention scheme, which has given businesses the ability to furlough their employees, and to prevent massive unemployment, the government are supporting those employees that are furloughed to 80% of their wages. I think it's worth saying that without the scheme, you know, most businesses, as included, wouldn't survive, and that's probably why there's so many people that's been furloughed right now. So how it works, it's a 3-week rolling basis. So to be furloughed, to be part of the job retention scheme, you've got to be off work for 3 weeks. Once you've been off for 3 weeks, you can return to work, and it is based on, again, if there is available work for you. So we've had some questions from colleagues saying, well, I don't really want to work the scheme isn't really set up like that. It's so that if there's no work available, your wages will be paid. So if we do go back to say a Sunday service or a Saturday service, we will require employees to come back into work from furlough. Other people have asked us, can we furlough, then come back to work and be furloughed again? Yes, and again that's in 3-week blocks. So first 3 weeks you're furloughed, people can return to work, they may return for a week, 2 weeks, a month, then they can be furloughed again. I think people ask about holidays. So whilst you're off on furlough, you still accrue your holidays, and then when you come back we can discuss how we're going to manage that, because obviously we've got 7 employees still here accruing days. We're going to have a big backlog. I think one of the questions I had today was how many people does it involve? So as of today there's 672 people that work for us that are all furloughed. So it's quite a big number. I think it's over 50% of the workforce now. I think that's probably it in a nutshell. I mean, I'm not sure.
Again, we're just trying to respond to, people have just said, can we have an explanation of it? So hopefully that provides it. As ever, you know where to go if you want more detail. Talk to your manager. Talk to us on the WhatsApp groups that I think we've got over 300 of you on there now. We're looking at that every day. Sometimes it keeps us sane, sometimes it makes us laugh, but it's mainly there to help you. So please use them. And if there are any questions on that or any of the matter, just please ask. Because we're trying to give you as much information as we can. We don't want to bombard you, but at the same time, we want to make sure you're answering the questions that you need answering. Okay, other things that are happening around us. I mentioned about this new government grant. I think many of you will have seen in the national news emerge last week, and we've been doing a lot of communication around it inside the business. The coronavirus bus services support grant is its snappy title. But it's actually a very vital scheme the government has introduced to help look after bus operators such as ourselves and enable us to carry on operating at this critical time for key workers and those making essential journeys. The way it works is as a set payment per kilometre that we and everyone else will receive. We have to make a claim for that, so we've got members of our finance and commercial team working away at that to get our claim in. It is really designed to cover costs. It's not designed so we make any profit. It's really there to sort of guide and help bus operators through this very difficult period so we can still carry on operating. It's something that I think the government and the Department for Transport and the Buses Minister, Baroness Veer, have worked quickly and decisively on, with the assistance of CPT, our trade body, and we're really fortunate that we're in these conversations as well. And certainly this is one real occasion where the bus industry has come together and worked hard to get this. And it isn't just about keeping us in business; it's about keeping everyone in jobs as well. So that's something, a very helpful tool for us there. The challenge I think that will become from this is more than how we power up and we get back to normal again. What funding, what support will be there, because at that point our costs will then increase again. But what kind of market will be out there for us to serve? That's something none of us know. There's plenty of experts around trying to tell us what that'll be like. But we're beginning to think about what that looks like. So we're scheduling various scenarios. We're looking about how what's the process for unfurloughing colleagues to come back. We're in the process of retaxing buses. All those type of things we're beginning to think about, because certainly what we want to do is we want to try and get to 100%. And where we want to get back to growing people's of using buses. It broke my heart when you see our statistics of even at the start of this year we were still getting growth just as we were getting last year, and then we hit this and things went backwards very quickly. But rest assured, as far as we're concerned, at Transdev and at Blazefield, that's the situation we want to get to. So that means that we are still looking at renewing the fleet. The plans that we put in place this year of renewing the buses on the which way And at Cities App, that is still happening. That commitment was made before this. It's a commitment we are keeping. We think it's very important that we carry on making our products the best they can be. So, good news for customers and colleagues in Burnley and in York and Leeds. New buses still come in. I think, we're still going to do the amazing things we do with buses to make sure that we're ahead of the pack, and we create buses that people are proud to be seen on, and the things that get people out of their car and get people out of their house. And I think that's going to be the next challenge, is getting people out of their house so they don't want to shop online, they don't want to work at home, they want to get in a bus and they want to move around, and let's try and do our bit to get society behaving in the positive and uplifting way we want them to. The other good news that we had partway through all this episode was that we got the news that our quite in-depth bid, a bid that many of us work very hard on, and that's many of us who you don't see here, who are working behind the scenes in the commercial team, in the marketing team, in the operations team, the finance team, the engineering team. A lot of people put our work into our Leeds Bradford Airport bid. It was something that we see as very strategically important to us as a business, and we're really pleased that we won that. It's a relatively long-term contract. It starts in September, and we think that can be a real flagship for Transdev and for us at Blazefield, and so it's nice to get positive news like that. Rather reassuringly, I'm sure a number of you will think, well, there's not much happening at airports at the moment, but I think it's fair to say that the activity on those routes, over 80% of the activities is not directly related to the airport, so we're still very confident that's something we can make work, and the airport themselves still remain very ambitious as for how they want to grow the airport, get more people travelling on public transport to the airport, and I think we can have a really good partner in the airport who share our vision and have always admired some of the work we've done. So we're really looking forward to that as a partnership, which will happen from September. We don't know what garages we're operating from. All that work is now beginning to happen as we get more clarity around the bid and the services that the combined authority and the airport want. But as soon as we get that, we will share that with you. But it's good news for Blazefield, and so we can all be happy with that. The final thing we wanted to end on was something, as ever, we try and get the positive out of, what is, let's be honest, quite a terrible situation that we're all living through at the moment. But in darkness there's light and all that, and I think there's lots of amazing people out there doing pretty incredible things, not just from within our company, but obviously those in the NHS, those of us who are keeping our communities functioning and our towns functioning, and we're unveiling our Buses for Heroes project, where we're going to have a bus at each depot, which we're going to plaster with pictures of all the amazing people who are working so hard in our communities at the moment. We're doing that in conjunction with each of the local papers. We've approached the local newspapers in each of the towns we operate in. They were really support the idea, they love it, and they're helping us get stories and get pictures about all the people we want to feature on these incredible buses that I think will be flagships of our fleet. And that's all about what we do. We're part of Trans, we're part of a global business, but we have our local towns at heart and our local people at heart, and this is just another way that we want to embrace that, but more importantly shine a spotlight on others who deserve thanks from us and from our neighbours. So that's happening now. Lots of you already contributed to it. We put the call out on WhatsApp to send you pictures in. We've got some lovely pictures that we'll be pleased to use, we were keen to want to do something special while this is going on. I think that's probably it for now. We'd encourage you to stay in touch with us via the WhatsApp groups. I think that's the easiest way of doing it. We are continuing to talk to each of our managers every day. We have a set call with all of them at 10 o'clock every day. We then come together as an exec team at 11:30 every day, and we communicate with the trade union colleagues at each location on a weekly basis as well. So there's lots of communication going on please join in with that communication too, and feed through any ideas or questions that you want us to deal with. So for now,
That's it.
yeah. I think it's another great big thank you from me, and from all of us here, and we look forward to seeing with you and talking with you as time goes on. But thank you very much for all that's happening out there.
Thank you.